Less, they went on a rant today about JuJu Watkins should be talked about in the same way as Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A. Smith just dropped a bomb, claiming JuJu Watkins is on Caitlin Clark's level. But hold up, is he for real? Fans are going crazy, saying Smith's lost his mind.
Wow. Okay, where do we even start? I mean, Caitlin Clark's actually already in the WNBA and has already been WNBA all first team. All WNBA first team. Think about that now. As a rookie. And led the league in assists and scored 19 points. And her team, which had the first pick last year, made it to the playoffs. Yeah, even my dog knows it, for crying out loud. But you're going to have the media start this, and it's the same train we got on with Angel Reese.
Stephen A. Smith sparked a heated debate by suggesting that JuJu Watkins is on par with Caitlin Clark. The response: fans are in an uproar, with many arguing that Smith's take might be way off base.
Here's Clark. Clark pulls up, another deep one. Is good!
Caitlin Clark once again dancing with the basketball, seeing it go through.
It's honestly starting to seem like Stephen A. doesn't even keep up with the WNBA. Let's be real. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing well. She's rewriting the record books. Remember that insane third quarter against LSU? That was pure greatness on display.
That is why Caitlin Clark got the hype she did. That is why people talked about Caitlin Clark. Because she was winning games she had no right to win. Iowa had no right to win this game.
No question, that was pure magic. Now, you're probably wondering, what about JuJu? Here's the deal. This comparison has basketball fans buzzing. What Caitlin Clark did against LSU wasn't just another game. It was a statement that sent shockwaves through the sport.
Iowa, I thought scoring, yes, she's the all-time greatest scorer in the history of college basketball, men's or women's, but passing like this, I'm talking about gifted LeBron-esque bounce passing. I'm talking about gifted LeBron-esque two-handed, full court, touchdown pass kind of passing, the likes of which I don't see in the WNBA.
She drained multiple threes from deep, including an unbelievable step back from 30 feet. That's not just skill, it's unshakable confidence. And you've got to ask yourself, how does Clark keep doing this? It's not just about her incredible scoring. Remember when Iowa wasn't even expected to make the tournament? She completely transformed the narrative.
And by the way, this is against an LSU team who are way better than current day UConn. This team had Anissa Morrow, Williams, Flau'jae, and Angel Reese. This team's 100, and Haley Van Lith. This team's 100 times better than this year's UConn.
And that's exactly why Caitlin Clark gets all the hype. She's the kind of player who pulls off wins no one sees coming. Iowa had no business taking that game, but she willed it into reality.
Yo, man, we should be talking about her the way we talked about Caitlin Clark last year. JuJu absolutely. JuJu special. I'm telling you that right now. She is the packet.
Clark didn't just lead Iowa to victory. She carried them there, no matter what it took. She's the reason Iowa wins games they have no business winning. And the best part? She's not just racking up points, she's setting up her teammates and breaking records while doing it.
I mean that JuJu Watkins right now might be the third best player in college basketball. I think it's look, UCLA are so good. Lauren Betts is better than JuJu Watkins right now.
Exactly. She's a dual threat who keeps defenses on their toes. Whether it's passing or shooting, you never know what she'll do next. Sure, plenty of players can score and pass, but not at this level. As her coach said, Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's changing the game. And he's right. Clark shines when it matters most, always coming through in the biggest moments.
And in fairness, I thought JuJu did a good job making against UConn. But up to this point in her college career, she's averaged more turnovers than assists.
Can you believe the impact she's making? Caitlin Clark isn't just changing the game, she's reshaping how we see women's basketball. She's setting a new bar for what's possible on the court. But wait, there's more to this. Let's talk about JuJu Watkins. After witnessing what Clark has done, it's only natural to compare the two. Stephen A. Smith believes JuJu deserves the same level of hype as Caitlin Clark, but is he on the mark?
In my opinion, JuJu, up until that last game, I don't think she's been good this year. She was bad in her first game against Ole Miss. she'd been awful against ranked opponents this year.
Hold on a second. What if I told you JuJu might not even be the best player in college basketball right now? In fact, she might not even be the top player on her own team.
It's just nonsense, and that's the biggest problem is that JuJu is Ryan Howard with a better highlight tape. And I mean that. And that's not a knock. I really like Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard, if not for injury, is an all-star all 3 of her seasons of the WNBA. Ryan Howard probably makes 2028 Olympic team. She is Ryan Howard with a prettier highlight tape.
You might be thinking, but JuJu is a great scorer, and yeah, she can put up points. But at what cost? Here's a surprising stat for you.
And look, JuJu Watkins, I think, is a good shot blocker. She's an elite shot blocker. But, like, she's not, like, the greatest. She's not nearly as good a defender as Hannah Hidalgo is. The best player in college basketball by so much is Hannah Hidalgo.
JuJu is actually averaging more turnovers than assists. That's not just a minor issue. It's a major red flag. It means she's losing possession more often than setting up her teammates. For someone getting this much attention, that's a big deal. And as for those big games, people expect her to dominate. Well, she's been nowhere to be found. One analyst didn't hold back, saying it straight up.
And the reality situation is JuJu's not even the best player in college basketball. And it shows Stephen A. Smith's not watching, saying that JuJu Watkins should have the same hype as Caitlin Clark did last year.
Ouch, that's not the kind of performance you'd expect from someone being compared to Caitlin Clark. And here's the real kicker. Some experts are starting to question if JuJu's game is more about style than substance.
The most exciting player in college basketball is Hannah Hidalgo. The best player in college basketball is Hannah Hidalgo.
What? That's a harsh comparison, suggesting that while JuJu might look impressive on camera, she's not delivering when it counts. So what's the bottom line? JuJu Watkins isn't just falling short of Caitlin Clark. She's not even in the conversation for the best player in college basketball at the moment.
And when JuJu played against Hannah Hidalgo, JuJu did nothing. JuJu had 8 points or something. Or JuJu, was it 10? Going into garbage time down 20. And you're like, oh, you know, Notre Dame lost to TCU and they lost to Utah. And it's like, yeah, so what? When in the games that really mattered, really mattered, against UConn and against USC, Hannah Hidalgo was 10 times better than Paige Beckers. And Hannah Hidalgo was also much, much better than JuJu Watkins in that game.
Her struggles against top teams, turnover problems, and disappearing acts in big moments all point to one thing. The hype doesn't match the reality. But hold on, there's more to this. Let's break down why Stephen A. Smith's opinion is so off. When you look at the facts, you have to wonder, has he even been watching the same games we have? Ever heard the saying, a day late and a dollar short? That pretty much sums up Stephen A. Smith's take on women's college basketball.
And that's the reality situation, is you can tell these people aren't watching these games. You can tell they're not watching the games when they're saying there's a comparison. If you want to make the argument that JuJu Watkins is as good as sophomore Caitlin Clark, there is an argument there.
But Stephen A. Smith's latest hot take on JuJu Watkins isn't just late. It's totally off the mark. Let's break down why his opinion is so far off. It's almost laughable. First off, has Stephen A. even watched a full game this season? Because if he had, he'd know there's a player out there making JuJu look average. And her name isn't Caitlin Clark.
Watch one game of college basketball last year until Caitlin Clark versus LSU. It's like you didn't watch one game the year before until Caitlin Clark versus LSU.
Yep, it's Hannah Hidalgo. Stephen A. completely overlooked her. She's been dominating all season. Remember when Hidalgo faced off against JuJu? That was a game where Hidalgo truly made her presence felt.
I don't even think Stephen A. Smith knows who Hannah Hidalgo is. And I mean that. If you asked him who Hannah Hidalgo is, Stephen A. Smith does not watch one game of college basketball until that.
JuJu only managed to score 8 points, and most of those came when the game was already decided. That's not the kind of performance you expect from a so-called superstar. Hidalgo didn't just win, she dominated. But did Stephen A. have anything to say about that? No. And it's not just Hidalgo. Smith's take on JuJu shows he's missing the bigger picture of women's college basketball. He's hyping JuJu up without truly grasping her impact or how she stacks up against the competition. It's like he's only watching highlight reels, not the full games.
And I'm sorry, like, the ability to score from 3 levels is one of the most overrated things in basketball, because if you don't need, it doesn't matter how you score, it's that you score. At the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters, is that you score, that you create points for you.
You might be thinking, but he's a sports expert. Sure, in some areas, but when it comes to women's college basketball, Stephen A.'s track record is pretty questionable. Remember last year when he finally took notice of Caitlin Clark? It was like he was constantly playing catch-up.
And I know he get the mid-range. He doesn't need a 3-ball. You don't need to be a 3-level scorer to be the best scorer. You just need to put the ball in the basket on less shots.
It was during the championship game against LSU that Stephen A. finally recognized Caitlin Clark. By then, real fans had been praising her for months. Smith showed up late to the party when everyone else was already heading out. The real kicker, his comments on JuJu Watkins don't just miss the mark. They're downright uninformed.
If you want to make the argument that JuJu Watkins is as good as senior Caitlin Clark, I'm sorry, give Caitlin Clark Kiki Iriafen, they win the chip last year. Genuinely. Even if you take Kate Martin, if you take Gabby Marshall off that team, just give her Kiki Iriafen. Give her the supporting cast that JuJu has, and Caitlin Clark drags that team to a championship.
He's comparing JuJu to Caitlin Clark when JuJu hasn't even proven she's better than Hannah Hidalgo. It's like he's not even watching the same sport as the rest of us. So what's going on? Is Stephen A. just throwing out hot takes for attention, or does he really not understand women's college basketball? Either way, it's clear his opinion on JuJu Watkins doesn't carry much weight. Real basketball fans know better than to take Smith's word on this. But here's something else we need to talk about. Everyone's obsessed with the idea of 3-level scoring. And you know what? It might not be as important as people think. Let's break down why this flashy style of play could be overrated. First off, what exactly is 3-level scoring? It's when a player can score close, mid-range, and from beyond the arc. Sounds great, right?
Caitlin Clark as a senior literally led the nation in assists, and she led the nation in scoring by a bunch. And JuJu to break Caitlin Clark's record, like JuJu is an out-and-out scorer, and for her to break Caitlin Clark's record, she needs to average 30 and make 2 of the next 3 championships.
You might be thinking, but isn't versatility important? Sure, it can be. But let's take a moment to talk about Giannis.